Welcome to Mamahood After Trauma, where we stop pretending and heal out loud. I'm Emily Cleghorn, trauma survivor, cycle breaker, and mama rebuilding from the inside out. If you're ready to break cycles, trust yourself again, and rise without shame, you're in the right place. Let's go. Before we dive in, mama, if you're a mama healing from trauma and trying to parent differently, but you're not sure what support or next step is right for you, I totally understand. And that's why I've created something to help. Take my free Find Your Next Step to Calm and Healing quiz to discover where you are in your healing journey and what your next best step looks like. You'll find the link in the show notes below. Hello, mama, and welcome to this episode of the Mamahood After Trauma podcast. I am thrilled that you have taken some time out of your busy mama schedule to tune in and listen to our conversation today. Today, we are joined by Jenny Cohen. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Emily.
Yeah, thanks for being here. I'm looking forward to our conversation today. So let's dive right in. And if you could introduce yourself a little bit and share how you came to be working in the space, that would be fantastic.
Thank you. So everyone, I'm Jenny C. Cohen, and I work with women over 40 who realize as they enter their second spring, also known as menopause or perimenopause, that it is time to really turn your energy inward and try and find the you before the world got to you.
Wow, that is powerful. So how did you come to work in that space? Like, what brought you to there?
Well, I'm a mom, and I became a mom through the miracle intervention of in vitro fertilization. My husband had cancer, and we had to store my my eggs before he was done with cancer treatment. And then during the workup, we realized, or the doctors found, I had pretty severe endometriosis. And even like a chocolate-sized cyst that could have become cancerous, the silver lining of my husband getting cancer. And then we were gifted with two miracle babies. And I lost myself. They were my miracles. I wasn't supposed to be a mom. I was supposed to be someone like with money. I was like, I want kids though, not realizing the fine print, basically when you become a mom, anyway, adoption, in vitro, naturally, unexpected, through trauma, you become a mom, and it's as if someone takes a piece of your heart and just throws it on the road. And you're supposed to watch that piece of your heart weather the world. And I learned that the hard way. I kind of wish I knew that before. I decided to play God and do in vitro. And in this gift of having kids and becoming a mom, and I really do ascribe to the belief that your kids pick you before they're born. Okay, because there's free will. I mean, whether or not I chose to be a good mom was a different story, but they picked me, and it was always this responsibility. And in doing so, though, I was still human.
Yeah,
I'm still human, and I still had so many things I didn't know that were ultimately going to become a toolkit for me.
yeah.
But I didn't know I was suffering from all these things that weren't making me the best role model for my kids. Really, truly. I mean, these miracles come to me, and I did the best I could. And in the interim, my kids were handed their own challenges that they opted for before they were born. And I, in helping them stay alive in this lifetime, and when I say stay alive, I'm talking about more than raising them. I'm referring to, so a trigger warning for your audience. Okay, we're regarding to sexual assault when they were very young that we did not know about. Self-harm has resulted from that we didn't know about until years after. A child that was assigned one sex at birth that transitioned in their teenagehood. And I realized, wow, and keeping them tried and true to what they're meant to experience. I had so much I hadn't processed in my childhood that was affecting me as a role model for them. All my healing came from, ooh, the kids are watching me. Do I really want to repeat old patterns for them to then repeat in their lifetime? And that's what came from my work. When I got breast cancer, it actually was ironically the best thing, Emily, to because I was running all my life before I got the breast cancer and it stopped me cold. And then when I got better, I still was running. It wasn't until my child went into really severe safety issues that I had to really stop and get present so that we could help her find ways to stay alive.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, well, thank you so much for sharing your journey and what brought you to be working with perimenopausal and menopausal women and helping them to find. So, what does your work look like with your clients? Like, how do you help them find themselves free?
Well, I mean, if you look at the world right now, most of us were disconnected from our bodies. I
Absolutely.
just, right? And dare I say this? I don't care. I'm gonna stand on the soapbox. There's a lot of women with undiagnosed forms of either complex PTSD or ADHD or some other neurodiverse thing that we've been ignored. So now we're trying to navigate this world. And we're more women are speaking of it. And so there's more doctors who are women speaking up for us, right? And in the interim, though, how how do we even just connect to our bodies to know what's meant for you? Because everyone's recovery and return to self journey is very, very different.
Yeah.
There's no one formula. That's the truth talk. Okay. I used to wish if I just threw money at it, someone could give me answers. And unfortunately, you're role modeling for your children. There is no one answer. You have to check in with yourself. And what's the one entity that's been with you since before you came out of a womb? Your body. And the connection to your body, which we're used to ignoring. Let's be truthful about that too.
Yeah.
Right? This past year, I discovered
ignore it.
Conditioned, expected, punished if you don't ignore it. I mean, if you do, yeah, if you put yourself first, what do you mean? You're a mom. How could you put yourself first? And the antithesis of that is, I'm role modeling for my kids what it means to be self-empowered. So that connection to self is most important. I do what they call the outside in approach, meaning not outside me, outside of you, but your body is your outside shell. It houses your soul. It houses a lot of your memories from your childhood. So you can connect mind to body, and don't forget another, just being pretty honest about how your gut has the same cells as your brain, and your heart is a second brain, and your gut is a third brain, or vice versa. There's a lot going on we haven't been taught. My clients first just reconnect with their body, whatever way they want. My shortcut is through dance, Emily. A lot of women say, I can't dance. I'm like, can you walk? You can dance. And even my people who can't walk, if you can visualize yourself walking, you can dance. And when we're talking about dance, we're not referring to ballet, right? This very social with this the social with it. It's very elitist ballet, unfortunately, right? You have to have the money, you have to have the costuming, you have to have the training at a very young age, which cuts out most of us. I'm 57. I come from the generation where dance was an extra. It was not a birthright. It was a luxury because my parents were peasants from Taiwan. And I only wish that people understood when we're talking about dance, we're referring to any movement you and your body want to do to what you perceive as music. I have clients that like the sound of water and they'll move to water. I have clients that like the sound of birdsong, which is the universal sound for safety. So why would you not dance to safety? Right? If you give yourself that permission every day just to move a little bit, or do it with your kids if you have little itty bitties, and teach them this very free, accessible way of connecting mind and body, they will start to get more intuitive hits about what's for them and what's not. At least that's what I found with my clients and myself. And it's very funny. I was just on an interview, Emily, with three men, and they were so cute. Like they were a little resistant to the muscle testing, a little sarcastic. And in the past, when I wasn't doing this work on me, I would join them in almost making fun of myself. And I've noticed in this work, it really empowered me to kind of go back at them and be like, oh, you seem pretty resistant to this. No, I'm not resistant. Yeah, you are. Like, give it a chance, And then it turned the conversation around. So it was pretty interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Being able to reconnect the mind with the body, because for so many of us, especially trauma survivors, we live in this part of our body. And the rest of it, and for those of you listening, I'm pointing at my neck up. We live in the top, I don't know, what is that? 5% of your body. And the rest of it, the 95% that falls from the shoulders down, we just ignore.
We
But
do.
but what that part of your body tells you, it's talking to you constantly, but not in a language that you can necessarily understand unless you're aware of it and know how to listen to it, about what it needs and what's missing, what's wrong, what's going on. And there's so much knowledge and information in the other 95% of your body that when you stop ignoring it and start tuning into it, it's amazing what can shift.
Absolutely. And let's not forget also in the scientific research now, even in your brain, we've only accessed 5%. There's another 95% to the subconscious that's called the subconscious we're not even aware of and don't know quite exactly how it works, even though we know a lot already about what it does. The body itself, we knew the language when we were born. We were
Yeah.
conditioned to ignore it when we grew
Mm-hmm.
older, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the key is just to remember that return that I mentioned at the beginning of the interview, the return to self is to return to remembering that mother language you had with your body. You already have it. You just have to remember it and pay attention. Most women in their 40s, we've lost the ability for interoception, which is a sense of what your body needs. Like when you get thirsty before you're really thirsty, or when you get hungry or begin to get hungry before you're hangry. Right? I'm always hangry. I'm never, oh, I feel a little hungry. It's never that. It's either, oh, I'm fine, or I'm starving. And the goal is to start reading those signs in between. The more you pay attention to your body and start to take care of it, the more your nervous system calms down. When your nervous system calms down, we can do the internal work. I used to think, oh, I just have to, I have to calm my mind. I have to calm my mind and then my mind can control my body. It's actually the other way around. Because I never knew, Emily, all of those breathing, exercising, sitting still were actually causing trauma responses in my body. Because all my life, I used to do either freeze or fawn.
Mm-hmm.
And freeze and fawn are responses that aren't really identified a lot. It's either fight or flight, fight or flight. We run away or we fight. But sometimes you freeze or you become a people pleaser for survival mechanism, most of us learned, right? And I still remember women who were really strong, or what we call masculine traits, would irritate me because a part of me was just really jealous that they could be like that they could be so strong and speak for themselves and not take any BS from people. And I've noticed that that's because I needed it in my life. That's why it irritated me. And so that's that internal work, what we call cause and effect. Are you part of the solution to empowerment? Or you are part of the, oh, I'm powerless. And so I'm just a victim of the system. That thing. That's really important. Women, we have so much more power than we get ourselves credit for. It starts with it off though, right? Connect with your body, and then you can do the internal work. Before anyone else gets to you, we're already telling ourselves in our head what we're allowed to do and not what we're not allowed to do.
And most of the time, we're not even aware of it.
Exactly. Exactly. I didn't even realize that my inner critic, which was the voice of my mother, was on so much all the time. I was just used to it.
Yeah. So you probably didn't even hear it anymore, did you?
Well, I internalized it and I
Yeah.
didn't, I, it was, it's like that buzz of
Yeah.
electricity in the house. It was always on. And you just think about what internal conditioning do you have, my wonderful, Emily's audience, that we're not even aware of. And once you start to tune in, you go, oh, whoa, I would never ever speak to my kids like that or someone else like that. And guess what, you've been doing that all your life to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Your internal voice becomes your internal abuser.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo. And there's differences, depending on the philosophy of because I go to a complex PTSD specialist who really, really loves internal family systems. And the idea is that when you're under duress, a part of you will kind of fracture off to protect you. And there's also a part of you that gets stuck in the past in that character. You play all the characters. But there are also parts that become protector parts for you, like your anger that comes up, or your frustration, or your judgment. And then there's also other parts that you've internalized from other people that are just toxic and you need to fire them. So the key is to understand what's at play.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a huge balancing act of growing an awareness muscle.
Yeah. And giving yourself grace too, please.
Yeah.
Give yourself grace. When we talk about balance, I want to be really clear. That lie that we're supposed to have it all, that's a lie. Okay.
Yeah.
We're not expected to do it all. Oh, please, no one else. We used to have a joke. Okay, before we moved to Utah, because Utah, they have the polyamorous where the man has multiple wives, right? And I was like, no, I'm gonna have like father brothers, a husband brothers, or something like that, because you need at least 10 men to replace one woman. All the things that we do,
Yeah.
right? There'll be one man in front of the pets, in charge of the pets, one husband in charge of the shopping, one husband in charge of cleaning, one husband in charge of just decluttering, because we pile up clutter. I don't know where it comes from. It multiplies like Furbies. I don't know. And then it was really funny because all my girlfriends understood immediately the joke. That there's multiple things that we do that we take ourselves for granted, forget about our partners. And the key is just to be saying it's really okay for you not to be doing everything at the same time.
Yeah. For a long time, I told myself that I had to do it all. I had to do all the things and wear all the hats. And you know what? When I stopped doing it all, I felt so much better.
Yep. Yep. And yep.
Yep.
And again, we're role modeling for our kids, right? Because I had shared earlier that I have fraternal twins, one who transitioned female to male. And it was really interesting because he shared with me, Mom, like I really see the difference about how men and women are treated now. Because now all of a sudden, he's in the more power categorized part of society. And he was like, it's crazy how much more attention I'm paid to in social settings. Now he's BIPOC. He's a person of color. So it's a little bit different. It's a little bit layered being trans in a red state that has anti-trans bathroom laws. We have to keep him safe he's not very obviously trans, right? So he's been very careful. We have to be very safe for him. And then my daughter, who is non-binary, we have to be careful when she enters the female bathrooms because people will stare at her. She's dressed normally, y'all. Like she's dressed normally. And we have to come up with conversations and scripts if someone challenges her reason for being in the bathroom. Because like in our state, anyone can call the police and say, well, I think that that's a trans person in my bathroom. So yeah, being aware of your situation is another thing of safety. When I was training to speak at colleges, my topic was about body awareness for safety when you're on campus. I'm going to be really honest. It's ridiculous we even have to do this. And again, I'm not waiting until society changes. I'm still going to educate my children on safety, right? So when I speak on the college circuit about body language and safety, because I perform on stage, so I know all about body language. There was a study done by people who were in jail for assaulting women, and they were talking about the characteristics they looked for women, like what besides just the easy things like long hair. Mm-hmm. It was women who seemed uncertain when they walked. Mm-hmm. They were hesitant. They were almost unmindful of their surroundings. Mm-hmm. They were involved in their phones, right? And I bring up this particular topic because how many moms are distracted when we're out with our children or multitasking a billion things? And I ask you, how present are you in the moment so that you can keep yourself safe, your kids safe, and ultimately just bring power back in your life. I say this not from fearfulness, it's more just awareness.
Yeah. What are a few things that our listeners can do if they're looking to start becoming more aware of their body?
I love this question. Thank you so much for asking me, Emily. If you're not regularly dancing or doing movement to music, and I'm referring to more than oh, you happen to play music when you're showering and you do a little wiggle and you're naked after the shower. Okay. Mm-hmm. More than that. Actual schedule time where you're just allowing almost like your body to guide the movement. Mm-hmm. That's very difficult. We're always judging ourselves. And I invite you to do that sometimes. Play is really important. For moms, we facilitate play. We're really good at making sure our kids are playing. Are you playing? That's something that I want you to give permission to. That means like a dance class, an art class, improvisation classes for comics. You don't have to become a stand-up comic, even though I know you have a lot of material. As moms, we have a lot of material. Yes, that's why it's popular now. A lot of moms go on stage and we break the crowd up because we see things in a different light. That's actually pretty funny about life, right? You could do improvisation is really about reacting to the spur of the moment, and you have to be very present. Okay, or even doing walks. Mm-hmm. That can be your play where you're just out in nature, and you can make a game of like how many people you see and guessing their life story. Anything where there's not a clear winner and loser, just in the participation of the game. When I was studying to be a stand-up comedy during the lockdown, I call the COVID lockdown the panini. There's a lot of arguments about whether or not we still have COVID, if not. And my whole family is immunocompromised. I'm a cancer survivor. So we still take a lot of precautions because none of us can afford to be in the hospital. Okay. So during the lockdown, I took like how to do stand-up, and I was doing my routines and even doing voiceover study to do animation. Mm-hmm. And one of the biggest skills both of those schools helped us do was improvisation classes. Mm-hmm. Now, improv, like for comedy, comes from this woman named Viola Spolin, who studied with a social worker in Chicago. Mm-hmm. And this social worker had to work with hundreds of kids who didn't speak the same language because they were all refugees from different countries that came to the States. Mm-hmm. And she had to come up with play games for kids that didn't speak the same language. So all the games were geared around, saying yes when someone tried something, being supportive, never really a true winner. And you were just playing for the sake of playing. Yeah. And Viola Spolin took those theories and started coming with games for adults. And then that's what evolved into the Second City Improvisational School. That's where the origins come from. And that's something that no adult really remembers, that we really used to play just for play without winners, just in the process of play. Yeah. Go back to that, dancing, playing, and then the fact that I know everyone says this, and I really, truly would like everyone to define it for themselves. When I say have gratitude, because oftentimes the burdens that we have, other people wish they had.
Yeah.
You know, the burdens of like a young child to take. It's a lot of pressure to have kids.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna, whitewash that. That's really hard. And I had 2 babies at the same time. Right. So it's a challenge. Right. And if you have a partner, that's challenging. It's a lot of work to be a mom, and we're like the centerpiece. And there is a still gratitude flip without gaslighting yourself about how hard it is. Just the gratitude for it. It does shift the perspective.
Yeah.
And your audience is always welcome to join me. I do a daily trust connection on all of my social media, especially on Instagram and Facebook. If you go to Jenny C. Cohen and under any of them, and I always post prompts. And I've noticed, because I did this, it was called 100 Days Dance, and I call it connection or trust connection with your body, because I pick a song and I do a prompt, and I journal before I dance and I journal right after I dance, and there's always a difference in how I feel. And then I actually, oh God forbid, I look at my video of myself dancing. And I look at myself with Care Bear stare. Remember the Care Bears? Remember how Care Bears always looked at you with just absolute love and acceptance? You look at yourself like that when you watch the video. And then you pick 3 things that you really like that you did. And then one thing that you might shift and change. It's not a criticism. We're not ballet dancers. No one's a professional dancer. More, oh, I really like the way I did those hip circles. That was really cute. Or, wow, like that hip bobble. I like that hip bobble. Or, wow, I really flow with the music. And then one thing that I want to change, meaning sometimes you think, oh, this movement feels really good. And you look in the camera and you're like, oh, that's a little weird. Maybe I won't do that movement next time when I do the song. Right. Yeah. And this little exercise gets you to start really seeing yourself in the joy of movement. And it will shift how you see yourself in the mirror.
Yeah. Yeah. So those are great tips. Thank you so much for sharing. How can our listeners connect with you further? I know you mentioned your social media.
Well, I invite your audience to join me at monthly free masterclasses. They're at movetobloom.com, movetobloom.com. So you just come and join me. We change it to different days every month because everyone has different schedules. You come and do some of the things that I do with my clients. And then, there's always an option to upgrade to VIP, because sometimes moms have last minute things that happen. And because the whole entire program is subsidized by a 501c, a nonprofit, right? The value is great and much greater than what the VIP is asking for. And it just gives you some extra gifts. When you're a mom, you kind of have to do programs that work with your calendar, not work with my calendar. And so it's really important that you just, grab the tools you need. And then the goal is to, if you make a note of it and go, oh, maybe this isn't for me right now, but I'll do this later in 3 months. And then you put it on a board and it's up on the wall for you to just see. Then you'll come back to it when you're meant to.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I will make sure that there are links to Jenny's socials and her website so that you can access those really easily, and you don't have to worry about them falling out of your brain and trying to remember later and all of that stuff. So thank you so much for being on the show today, Jenny. It was a pleasure.
Emily, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. Be sure to follow the podcast so new episodes land right in your feed each week. And if you're wondering what your next step toward calmer, more confident motherhood looks like, take my free Find Your Next Step to Calm and Confidence quiz found in the show notes below. Until next time, mama, mend the past so you can mama in peace.